Okay.
That's it.
Well,
DC movies.
Before we hypothesize on the future, let's reflect on the past.
Yeah.
So, 2013, the turning point.
I'm in college.
I'm fresh out of college.
That's my best year in college.
And it is the dawn of the new
I was stupid.
DC movie slate with Man of Steel.
Yeah.
We did not all rewatch all of these, but we can talk a little bit about, specifically as we get ready for Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, we can talk a little more in depth about Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, and then we can kind of talk about the other surrounding films as well. What are your guys' thoughts on Man of Steel rewatching it?
Doesn't get any better than that when it comes to these movies, in my opinion.
It's all downhill. It's all downhill after the first kiss.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's not 100% true. The kissing part.
That statement has an interesting meaning now.
If you're not aware, the first time that Clark or Superman and Lois kiss in Man of Steel, Lois says that line. So that's where that came from. To explain my jokes these days.
Yeah, so Man of Steel is actually my favorite of these movies. However, I don't think it's the best one, which is really strange. But of the Snyder movies, I think this is his best work.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would say out of the Snyder directed films, it's definitely the one that lends best to his style of filmmaking, which tends to be deconstruction. I think he has an odd fascination with deconstructing myths, and elevating them again in a different light. And in Man of Steel, the arc, this was co-written by Jonathan Nolan, and produced by Christopher Nolan. So he didn't have, quote unquote, total creative control, which I think may be why it feels a little more reserved. Like it's a little more reserved. It's not just like, here we go.
It was before Snyder hired nothing but yes men.
Yeah. But I think it really does do a good job of kind of deconstructing what would an uncertain Superman be, and then at the end of that film, kind of give us a glimpse, like with the promise of, okay, the next time we see him, I can't wait. And then the problem is, the next time we see him, he's all doom and gloom, Superman. Anyways, specifically about
we'll
this,
talk about that later.
I actually really enjoy the first two acts. I think the third act, like most of Snyder's movies, goes a little long and gets a little destruction happy. I think there's some actual storytelling reasons why he leaned into so much destruction, and we see that with the beginning of, through most of Batman v Superman, with a number of concerns on a number of individuals' levels. But that said, it did make Superman feel a little uncaring, and unfortunately, that's just kind of carried on, and it hasn't ever turned to that hopeful Superman until the end of the third movie he's in, which was, maybe Joss Whedon's Justice League, when he kind of comes, I kind of like truth.
Dun, dun, dun. Way to go, Burton.
That was bad. Anyways, Luke, thoughts?
I think I agree with a lot of that. I'm probably less positive, although when this first came out, I was super
You were
hyped.
drinking that Kool-Aid.
Oh, it was all about the Kool-Aid.
I am. That's really interesting because I am the polar opposite.
Did you not like it?
I hated this movie the first time I watched it.
Interesting.
It's very interesting.
I hated it because I didn't like Superman as a character. I thought Superman sucked. Like, this dude's terrible.
Okay.
And then I read some Superman comics, and I was like, I actually kind of like Superman. He's interesting. And then I watched it again, and I was like, okay, I kind of like this movie, I think. And then I watched it again, and I was like, okay, no, I definitely like it. That's really weird.
My problem is the more I watch Man of Steel, and BvS with their polarizing characterizations that most people aren't used to, I just find more and more that I don't like. And it just really becomes a problem too now at the point of when I get to the third act of Man of Steel, I kind of check out.
Yeah.
Because first of all, they're all very long.
Yeah.
All of their runtimes feel longer than they actually are. Like Man of Steel is the shortest one. It's 2.5. Probably it's a little less, but I think it's 220. But like you get to, like you said, the third act always feels really long. Snyder always, I feel like, throws so much in there at the end to make it really, really big and grandiose, and it's just too much for me. Like the whole bit with him going to India to destroy the world engine, and just Metropolis is just getting clapped, man.
It's getting way.
There's just no hope. People are getting thrown around left and right by gravity, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like a 15-minute scene just watching people die. And then you get to the part, and it's like, okay, this is where the third act probably should have started. And I like the Zod fight. I think that's good. It was nice to actually see a well done Superman fight, because all we had was the Reeves version, which I mean at the time looked decent, but it wasn't alive and when that came out, so it looks bad to me.
It has not aged well.
It looks a lot better than 3 and 4, which
yeah.
They're so bad. They shot one thing of Superman flying in front of the camera, and they reuse it every time he flies, and you're like, wow, this had a budget of $5.
That gives me the Room vibes.
Yeah. But yeah, there's I honestly I start to really nitpick. I am having trouble.
Nitpick.
I'm having trouble. I need to talk slower. Yeah, I start to nitpick it. With what I think Superman should be, or what Pa Kent should be, and why in the heck nobody understands how tornadoes work in Kansas.
So interesting. When that scene takes place, Dana actually Googled if people still believed that being under an overpass worked. And at the time of that scene, they did. In the year that scene is supposedly set in.
In Kansas?
Yeah.
Who? I've known never to do that my entire life.
Look,
and I've never even seen a tornado.
In 2013, that scene... What year would that scene?
I remember being in 4th grade, and we were watching a video on tornadoes in school. And it was people going under underpass. My teacher was like, we don't do this anymore. You will die if you go under there.
Anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like in the 70s they did it.
Dana Googled it and somehow found an article about it. I do agree with that nitpick, but it's just interesting. I doubt he even looked it up.
That isn't the only thing, though. Like, just the underpass. I don't like the fact that Pa Kent is just like, don't save me.
That's the part I hate in that scene.
It is such a dumb death. Ugh.
Also,
I don't like Pa Kent's stuff at all, though. It's especially now as I've watched it more and more. It irritates the crap out of me, as you can tell as I rant about it.
I just the problem I have with that scene is, one, him doing the whole like no, don't save me thing, and 2, I love dogs, but
bye puppy.
You kind of cut your loss at that point.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just it's just lazy.
Yeah.
And plus, if Clark would have just everything grabbed him and ran back, no one even would have saw it.
Know what I think would have been
everybody
really
would have been
cool?
like, it's trauma. You're hallucinating because you were in a traumatic moment.
He totally could have also like survived the like
being thrown
around and then like been like, oh, actually I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like, oh, like acted hurt, but then like you just don't take him to a doctor and he's fine.
You know what I think would have been really cool, and this is what I would have done with hindsight. The kids qualifier. On the bus, they know that Clark is different. They know he has some type of ability. Pete Ross knows, Lana knows. What if just all of Smallville knew?
And it was like their little secret.
It was their secret, and
that'd be awesome.
I could have used more childhood Clark because halfway through the movie they come back to Smallville and just destroy the crap out of it. And I don't care for a second because I'm not connected with anyone there or the town itself. Like, most of the people, like, other than Pete, who, was a jerk to him to begin with, and he kind of has a little turn of heart, but, like, it seemed like he just kind of didn't have a great bringing up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Yeah, everything is so negative.
Everything's so negative about it, and I think we could have maybe used a little bit more building there, and that would have strengthened that. Oh, no, like, crap!
Dang,
this is
I'm
our
having
hometown.
to destroy my hometown. Yeah. What is your favorite scene in this movie?
the Smallville scene. I think it's like the Superman action is so well done.
It's a really good fight.
It's his first fight, and he's kind of figuring out his power still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's used his laser vision probably like 3 times. Once as a kid, once in the ice, and once to heal Lois, is what we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so cool, though, and then you have, like, Feora attacking the military, and it's so cool. Trains are being thrown. I love that scene.
That scene's great. I love my favorite moment in that entire scene is when Zod's breather gets knocked off and he starts to like have all of his senses like heightened, and Superman at this point is just like, yeah, dude, welcome, enjoy it. I think that scene's so much fun.
I think it'd be really interesting too if a beginning part takes place in Metropolis and then ends in Smallville, like kind of switch those scenes.
Oh,
I don't know if that's possible, if it'd still be entertaining. It's just the third act destruction is just
put them in a field at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. It's just a field of dead bodies, broken buildings.
Man, I don't know if I can pick just one scene. That's so hard.
I can pick mine.
I know my second one. The entirety of everything on Krypton.
Yeah, that intro is awesome.
Yep. It makes me think of Avatar when I watch it.
Everything in the first... honestly, everything in the first act is great. The bar, him saving people on the rig, the bar scene, the scene in Canada in the ice, with when he first meets Lois. I think that's all real good. The hot take that I'll say the thing that I maybe love is when he has to kill Zod. That's my hot take. I really like that. Unfortunately, I like it for apparently a different reason than Snyder, because I would have had that define his character going forward.
Like, he'll never do that again.
He'll never do that again.
Yeah.
It completely changes his outlook.
Yep.
And instead it just seems to make him a moody,
I like that idea.
Indecisive person. But, like, I always, in that moment when he's, like, anguishing over the fact that he killed the last person that he knows of his race, like, that I love that. That gets me.
I think that moment, like, perfectly would lead to a Supergirl moment. Like, him thinking, right, like, he's, okay, I've just killed off my entire race.
Yeah.
And then it would make finding Supergirl that much more important.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene is and will always be when it's a young Clark Kent scene when the football team comes by and pushes him down.
Yeah.
And he grabs the pole and he stands up and the pole's all bent. And it's probably in my opinion, the best Pa Kent scene. He's like,
it's the only good Pa
he's like,
Kent scene.
did they hurt you? And he's like, they can't. And he's like, no, I mean, are you all right? Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's so good. Because, like, that, I think, is the most Superman moment that Snyder has ever hit. And it's that, like, yes, he's Superman. Yes, he's a hero. I'm getting chills talking about it. Yes, he has all these crazy things he can do, but he still has human emotions. Like, he still gets bullied. He still struggles with the same things that we struggle with. And I just think it's the most relatable moment to his character in all of Snyder's movies.
Yep.
I just think it's so good.
Agreed.
But I also like killing Zod, too.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
I just like that he didn't have a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like he has to either and we'll get into this later, but he has to either save people or he has to kill Zod. And he ultimately chooses to save people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I probably wouldn't have done it. Like, it's written in that way that he has to kill him.
Yeah.
And I don't hate it, but I'm always kind of just like, don't kill the villain, because then you can bring him back.
Yeah.
Oh, but they did.
Because Michael Shannon
They brought back
so
his
good.
naked body.
He was so
Michael
good
Shannon
as Zod,
is
dude.
so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, if he would have figured out a way.
If I'm ever going to direct a Hollywood movie, I'm
You're
going to
getting
cast
Michael
Michael Shannon. Don't care what it takes.
Yeah, he's amazing as Zod.
Like, if Zod would have gotten banished to the Phantom Zone there at the end, and then somehow in BvS or in Justice League, Lex or Darkseid or I don't know, whoever
Broke him out.
figures out how to get him out.
Yeah.
Lex would have figured it out. For sure.
Darkseid could definitely do it. Just boom tube into the Phantom Zone, probably.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be really cool.
I'm always a huge fan of not killing the villains.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you kill the henchman. If you kill the henchman, you have to kill the villain. Otherwise, you're an absolute hypocrite. Batman. I'm going to kill all these people that are just trying to get by in the worst city in the world. But the Joker's fine.
Yeah.
And that's all Batman.
Say something and I totally
That's been all Batman.
spaced on
I just
it.
want to point that out. King killed tons of people, man.
Oh, yeah.
He put a bomb on a dude's belt and went... and he blew him up. Freaking messed up.
Oh, yeah. Though the idea that Batman doesn't kill is just the silliest notion.
Maybe this time. This next one, maybe.
I don't know. He beats the ever-living hell out of that dude in the trailer.
I don't know. I watch a lot of UFC fighters beat the living hell out of each other, too.
Well,
and they get back up in 6 months and decide to do it again.
They're trained to do it.
There is, like, when we talk about heroes and their
high-level
use
treatments.
of violence and justified violence, like, I think we often will just overlook things, right? Like, for the sake of, it's a superhero thing or whatever.
I overlook Batman killing people just because I think Ben Affleck is so good.
But I think there's a different kind of use, like what you're talking about, versus something like even what I was alluding to with the killing of Zod. Like if the killing of Zod was a character moment for
that's what I was
him
going to talk about.
that would change him. The same thing could be said about Batman. Like in this new Batman, maybe he does go too far.
Oh yeah.
And then he realizes, oh crap, and that
that
makes him make a decision to say, okay, that this is now a line I won't cross.
That was kind of too
good.
what Snyder was going
That's
for.
great.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Batman who's gone over the line.
Yeah. And
that's
doesn't
the
care.
whole Martha thing. We'll talk about it
and
when we
the
get to
sacrifice
BvS.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, and I'm going back to him killing Zod, and I think the Supergirl thing would be cool, but also I think having that haunt
Yeah.
Superman for the foreseeable future. One, you get more Michael Shannon.
Yes.
Find a way to keep him in the movie. And two, I just think he can, his real dad that he doesn't, and he kind of meets him, but like Zod kind of becomes like a pseudo teacher to him on accident, because of the mistake he made, and he doesn't really know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
I think there's, Snyder always tries to take these characters 2 or 3 layers deeper than he actually is able to write them.
Yeah.
And I think he does a really good job. He's a great setup guy. Like, Snyder's a good point guard in that he can kind of give you a little bit of an idea that you can run with, but he can't run with it himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of those ideas, is him learning from killing Zod.
Yeah.
I think that'd be interesting.
I think Shannon Zod is one of the best villains performances we've gotten in a comic book movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
100%
When
agree.
he's yelling at Laura.
I will find
Oh, dude, that scene's so good.
So good.
And then he gets in a
good.
space penis and goes to the zone.
Whee!
Yeah. Some of those designs could have used a second look over. No, wait, maybe not. Maybe not.
It's the social media age, man. You can't do that.
Shall we move on up into
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Batman v Superman? The showdown we were all waiting for and continued to wait for 2.5 hours into the movie. 2 hours in the movie.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Ultimate Edition.
Oh yeah.
Just to clarify.
I watched I think I've maybe seen the theatrical cut twice, once in theaters, and then once maybe after. I may have watched it, but I've always
I think I saw twice in theaters.
Since then have watched the Ultimate Edition. So that's definitely the one that I'll be referencing.
I saw. Oh man, this is embarrassing. I watched the theatrical edition 4 days in a row on its release weekend.
Wow.
Because it came out.
Were you like?
I went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
You were super high on this.
I was. I loved the characters.
Yeah.
So I was really excited that they were all going to be on a screen together, and I couldn't get enough of it.
Has that enthusiasm kept up?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
No.
Luke, did you really enjoy this movie when it
Oh
came
yeah.
out? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was wearing these rose-colored glasses at the time that said DC is better than anything else that comes out, and it doesn't matter what anybody else's thoughts are. There was a lot of words on them.
Yeah.
They were the scrolling ones.
Yeah. Like they're digital, they just go across.
Yeah.
I was probably not as high on this, although I was an early apologetic for it. I definitely defended it as like it's okay that it's different. Different creators are allowed to take different approaches. That said, I still don't think it's aged particularly well. There's still a lot I like about it, though. What are some of the things that you guys still like about it?
I still like it. Just in
general?
I enjoy the Ultimate Edition. Now, I have not watched the theatrical edition again.
Same.
But I just seeing these, I know when it was marketed, the two Titans meet, it's just so cool that this was the first time they ever shared a moment together on screen.
Yep.
And it's just, every time I see it, it makes me super happy that we've gotten to this point. But I think
I wish I had your enthusiasm.
These are my Transformers. I choose to like these movies.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, what works so well for this movie is Ben Affleck. And
yes.
And if you don't have him in this movie, I think this is, while Man of Steel is probably my favorite Superman movie, BvS is my least favorite Superman movie. I do not like Superman, and I didn't realize that until last night when I was watching it, and I was like, you know what this movie's missing? Superman.
Yeah.
It truly is. It's missing Superman. It's just, that's not the Superman character.
There's a lot
to
more...
the look. His hair is different.
Yeah.
It looks bad.
Yeah, there's like we were talking about earlier, I just feel like his character never evolved after, like, it was still it wasn't as much uncertain, but it was so he didn't care.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was, I feel like, especially after the Pa Kent scene in this film, like, I think that's just the point, is that he didn't choose Jor-El, he chose Pa Kent to follow, and that was one of apathy rather than empathy.
But see, that idea is so frustrating.
Oh no, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it makes for an interesting Superman.
No, but what pisses me off the most about him making that decision is in the movies, like, Superman was an idea from a farmer in Kansas. Like, he's literally bashing the very thing he goes on to choose.
Sure.
And it's just so dumb. Also, I mentioned this earlier, I'll mention it now. Superman in this movie literally only saves Lois. That we see. We see the Day of the Dead scene, which you really don't even see him save anybody. You just see him landing with the kid and putting the kid down.
You see, there's like a montage of him, like, the space shuttle and the
boat,
and the people on the roofs. But again, it's all just imagery. It's not.
You don't see him actively saving someone.
Yeah.
Unless it's Lois.
Yeah.
And that is.
It's like a. It's weird.
Part of this.
It's weird because often I'll say, and we all say it, but show don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because it's like they're showing you, but it's like a lie because they're just telling you. It's like, hey, look, he's a hero to them, but it's not really saying much. It's just something you're supposed to believe.
Assume.
It just feels like he's saving people out of some sort of obligation
complex?
or like it's not his purpose, or he's still confused about his purpose, which again can be an interesting story point, but not that much is actually given to it, so it doesn't manifest in any
real way
that's meaningful.
Yeah, and like when Luke talks about show don't tell, one of the tell scenes is the library with Lex, when Batman or Bruce is like, you guys read a puff piece when he saves a cat out of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Show us saving the cat. Like, let's see it. Like, you don't need to tell me that. Like, generally the people who are watching this movie today are people who know who Superman is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Show him be Superman. Let us enjoy him being Superman. And we just never... I feel cheated when I watch this movie, that I never get to see him do it.
It's also an interesting... Like, the premise of Batman v Superman, I always... In my head, and nowhere else that I know of than in my head. I'm sure it is somewhere else. But there's also, like, the idea of them being opposites. Like, if Batman is going to be the real dark, real off the deep end Batman, I feel like the counter for that would be a very hopeful and positive and humble Superman, right?
And then you force him to come to that place.
Yeah. It's this...
And you don't... And this is the thing, too. When people say this, they think you're saying, oh, I want a golly gee Superman. That's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing at all. In fact, when we were... interestingly enough, we were all kind of rewatching this one at the
that was so
not
much
quite
fun.
at the same time, but like
I was ahead of you.
You were ahead of.
I had started it. I was really tired, and the first hour of this movie is a slog, and I needed to do something else to stay awake. And then you both texted that you're watching it. I was like, okay, I'll get to watch it too.
Yeah, we were like 5 or 6 minutes apart,
and I was like 45 minutes ahead of you.
But yeah, like. Oh, I lost my place. What was I saying?
The difference of Superman and Batman.
Oh, yeah. Just that, like, you can... Like, I think the way I would have written this, hindsight's always 20/20, is that you would have had a Superman that was more hopeful, that was more eager to get out and save people, and him constantly bumping up against... Not just Batman, but society and the whole government thing. I think it works on a level, but you just don't. Superman doesn't seem to care.
That was me nodding my head in extreme affirmation.
So like, have him become more and more like cynical over the movie until Lex can break him. Then you can do the fight. It's believable because I think they just felt like they needed to start him
at a
in a low place to begin with. And unfortunately, I just don't think that's what we needed. Especially when you're going to kill him at the end. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, and...
Boo.
Speaking yeah, that's where you fit Dark Knight Rises and the death of Superman into one movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Lex and his whole plan, do you enjoy that?
No. I enjoy Lex's... thought experiment, and I love where he's coming from on like exploring what does it mean to be
good and powerful
in a world where there is a literal manifestation of God. Like, I love that philosophy and how he thinks about it. But the plan is so convoluted, man.
Yeah. And
it's so silly.
Like, I think back to watching the theatrical cut of this, and I'm like, How did any of this make sense to anyone before the Ultimate Edition came out? Luke, were you about to say something about Lex's plan?
It's Lex's plan and Lois's involvement.
It's her fault.
Drive me up the freaking wall with this movie. There is no need whatsoever for any of the stuff in Africa.
Oh, yeah. That scene should have totally been
It seems like there was something really controversial that something needed to happen in Superman's past. I don't know, like maybe destroying half of Metropolis on accident because he got in a fist fight with somebody. That seems like a really great place to start. But no, we have a bunch of thugs in the desert who blame Superman for everybody dying. They got shot. Like, I think any intern who works at a morgue could be like, oh, he died from a bullet wound.
Yeah.
Why are we burning these bodies to blame Superman? It's like, it is the stupidest thing.
It doesn't start off real strong, and it doesn't get any better.
And it just, right from the start, it's Lois being saved automatically.
Yeah.
And it's the first of like 10 times that she's rescued in this movie.
Oh, and that dude is super dead.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah.
Superman just threw him through a
There's
wall.
a difference between like Robert Pattinson's Batman just punching a dude over and over.
Yeah.
He could survive that. He could also die.
Yeah.
That dude got hit by a bullet on every part of his body.
He got hit by a vehicle.
Lois should be dead too.
Yeah. I could forgive that.
Do you know what happens when something of the speed of sound goes across your body? Nothing good.
Yeah. The Africa scene is just, I agree. Should have been cut. I agree. Metropolis is a great starting point for why people would not like him.
And we see that through Ben Affleck.
Yep.
Through Ben Affleck's character. Like, that is...
I think that's such a cool open.
When we talk about Zack Snyder films, especially his DC stuff, like this first two, the intros to these two movies are both so good. I love this, like... He's in his little, I don't know, was it a Hummer or
a Jeep?
Some sort
it was a Jeep Renegade.
Jeep
Renegade,
Renegade, and he's like
out.
charging in when everyone else is running away. And he's not in his bat suit, but he's still doing it because he knows it's the right thing.
Him running into the smoke is like, I remember when the trailer came out, I was like, that is a super Batman moment.
I know everybody talks about the warehouse scene in this movie, but that scene with Ben Affleck in the Metropolis scene is my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
It's the definition of Batman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. But, I mean, like you're talking about Lex manipulating Supes. I think Lex should, and Batman, first of all, this should have been Superman's movie. It should have been from his point of view, and Batman should have been a serious figure through the whole thing. He's just kind of messing with Superman. He keeps trying to beat him up. Superman should have beat him. And then the fight takes place.
Yeah.
If you're doing a Batman v Superman movie. But like I would have put Lex like in front of a camera, leading the charge against Superman. Be like, we can't trust this guy. Look what he did to our city.
It just seems like low hanging
and
fruit,
then,
right?
like behind the scenes, you could do like he's actually kind of.
Well,
he's doing it in front of the camera, and everybody's starting to agree with him. But then underneath that, he's pulling these little strings, just irritating Superman until he's finally like, I gotta take care of this bat guy because he keeps going after me, and then fight. Along those lines. Obviously, I'm not a screenwriter, so give me a break. But yeah,
you have hindsight, which means you don't get it.
It helps a lot. It helps a lot. But yeah, continuing from Africa, Africa and Lois drives me insane in this movie. I cannot stand Lois Lane in this movie. I don't think she should be in this movie. What is the point of Lois Lane if she knows who Superman is? That's a question. It's a real question. I would want people to answer it. What should she be doing? Investigating something. The problem is in this movie, we already know who's doing everything. It's like it's a bullet. It's like, who did the bullet? Well, we saw it happen. It's Lex. Yeah. Woo. She's like an hour behind in this movie.
Yeah,
and it's something I call Lois Lane syndrome. It's a problem in every superhero movie because she's the main female protagonist, lover, person. All she is there is to be saved. It's the only reason she's there. Why are you here? To get thrown off a building. To be saved in Africa. For a sex scene.
I feel like you could have done something really interesting with...
You're not wrong.
Yeah. With, if... Not to get too complicated. But, Batman v Superman, what if it was more of like her versus Lex?
Yeah.
Have her digging where he doesn't want. But the problem is he doesn't really care if she's digging in the current iteration, right? Like
he doesn't care at all.
He doesn't care because he's he seems to be more of an omniscient presence than the god who he hates, which is Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's real. The struggle is real. That said, I think you're right. Like, there's still some great stuff with Batman. I would have hated to get less Batman, even if I do kind of agree that it could have been a really cool Superman point of view.
I love Affleck as Batman. He's great. I feel like a lot of the stuff he's given is pretty good, and he elevates it with a really good performance. But I lost everything from Superman.
Yeah, sure.
You can't have them both.
It had too much focus on Batman. This is a Batman movie.
It really was. Yeah, and I wonder
and especially with like where Batman is, to like really flip the script and be like, Batman is gonna look like a bad guy in this movie. And then it could be like kind of what happens in other superhero movies where the villain has a change of heart.
What if we didn't see that Metropolis scene till the end, till after the character flip, right? Like, or we understand where, like, that's the moment where we understand why his motivation is to hurt Superman. Like, he is this mysterious figure throughout. We don't know why he keeps trying to hurt Superman, and then we see that scene halfway through the movie, 2/3 of the way through the movie, and that's kind of the like, oh,
the driving factor.
Okay, so yeah, like there is on an individual level these consequences that must be answered for.
Yep. Instead, I get a Superman that is more willing to block the Batmobile from chasing bad guys.
Yeah,
and they just get away.
Yeah, they just go.
And then the other part is right before they actually fight. It's like, Bruce, listen to me. And then he gets attacked, and he never tries again.
Yeah.
Just hover in the air and be like, Lex kidnapped my mom, dude.
So
Can you help me?
When we were watching that scene last night, Dana just was like, so one little attack, and he just gives up. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. She's like, this is dumb. She doesn't. So Dana notoriously loves Superman and Man of Steel, hates him in BvS as well. It's just, it's like we've forgotten the 2.5 hours of his screen time prior where he's trying to be a good guy.
Yeah. Elephant in the room, the third act. Or fourth act. How do we feel about Doomsday?
Should not have been in this movie.
The death of Superman.
Should not have been in this movie. I understand Snyder's plan. I would just like to add my opinion that I think is a stupid plan. Killing off your main character. 1.5 movies in, I'll give Henry Cavill half a movie for BvS.
He's barely got like 32 lines.
Yeah. It's not a good idea. He can get seriously injured. I don't know. Don't kill him. We know he's coming back.
Yeah.
Even in Death of Superman, if that was a movie, you know he's coming back because he would die in the first half.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, I think even at the time, that was the one thing that I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
I liked everything else at the time, but then that happened. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Last night we got to the end of the fight of Batman v Superman fight, and we're like, oh yeah, there's like still another 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. Act 4 begins. Yeah, I am very indifferent on the end of it, like with Doomsday in particular, because I try to think of like what this movie set out to do was to introduce all the other characters, right? And I think they at that point they had introduced Wonder Woman, but they hadn't really had anything for her to do other than look good, and then she needed to help fight at some point so that they knew who she was.
She was good.
Yes, she's really good in this too. Mm-hmm. Her and Ben Affleck are
both great chemistry together.
Are amazing. Mm-hmm. They're awesome, and I just every time I think about that, because I think if you don't introduce her I don't think you need Doomsday, but because because of I said this last night. Don't call it Dawn of Justice or don't call it BvS, right? Like because it's Dawn of Justice,
right?
They gotta have some big gray mushy thing for them to punch, and that's just kind of where we get that.
I think it should have just been Man of Steel 2 or Superman World's Finest.
I saw a thing recently where it was like, if Zack Snyder just wanted to make a Superman trilogy, he should have just said that.
Yeah,
and I agree with it.
Yeah, I think it gets tough when you start.
You start adding.
Man, can you imagine Zack Snyder's
one
Brainiac?
person.
Oh, that'd be wild looking.
That'd be insane. Also, probably be very destructive.
Well,
but it looks super cool.
I think if the MCU taught us anything about how these are made,
how dare you compare?
I'm not I'll whatever. Come at me, bro. It's that I think if you give the individual characters and their respective stories to people, right? Like Jon Favreau was very much Iron Man's overseer, and I guess Cap was a little different in that way. Thor was kind of all over the place, but my point being that for the team up movies, you have someone come and just make like. If the series is a potluck, you don't have one person making all of the dishes. You each bring something to the table, and I just feel like Snyder was so instrumental in creating all three of these characters and defining all three of these characters. Now, obviously, Patty Jenkins went on to give Wonder Woman really her own definition.
Yeah, she completely ignored.
And same with with Aquaman James Wan. I was gonna say James Gunn. I'm like, that's not right. James Wan. Now, I don't think Snyder really defined Aquaman all that much. But Batman and Superman, like, I think they each needed one or two individual films before they got brought together. That's just my opinion. But
yeah,
I agree.
Otherwise, though, do we enjoy like the little snippets of the other members that we get?
No. I don't need anything about Cyborg. I don't need anything about the Flash. I don't need anything about Aquaman. They're not pertinent to the story. They're simply there for setup, and it's a big slowdown at the what should be the end of the movie. It feels like an epilogue piece, but then all of a sudden we get Act 4.
I think it would have worked better as a post-credit scene.
Yep, agreed.
Where like, and this goes back to also not having Doomsday in the movie, is you end it without Wonder Woman showing up in her full attire, and the post-credit scene is her seeing all the logos and watching the clips and seeing the image, and you're like, oh crap, this is actually her. Like,
yeah.
And then you move forward from there. I think that it would have worked better there, and you would have shaved off 25 minutes of runtime.
Yeah.
Some thoughts I just had. Let me know if they're bad, stupid, good, great, super dumb. What do you think if instead of Doomsday, Lex would have created a Bizarro at the beginning? Superman is doing bad things, but it's not actually Superman, and then eventually the makeup and the Bizarro starts to rot away, and
so he looks like he did after he got nuked.
Yeah, or you could have the super nasty pale skin, and he starts to lose kind of cognitive function. He just becomes angry. Then they could all team up at the end to finally just fight him. That's one thought. I don't know if you love it or hate it.
I think the problem with that, hindsight, right? We keep saying that.
Yeah.
I think the problem with that then becomes you're having the League fight him again in Justice League. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess then at that point you wouldn't have killed him though.
Yeah, I wouldn't. This is not killing Superman.
Yeah, but then I guess it just depends what you do with Justice League after that.
Yeah.
But also, again, hindsight. I get that. That makes me. I love Bizarro. By the way, he's a lot of fun in Red Hood and the Outlaws. But like, that gets into Godzilla versus Kong territory and Mechagodzilla and
just what it.
Right. It's that whole story beat that, I know we've all discussed that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where it gets into. I think it could work, but I think Bizarro is a little too bizarre.
Than a giant cave troll? With added superpowers?
I think it's...
I just don't know. With the political angle, I guess it could still work there.
I mean, because you could have Lex eventually, like Bizarro is doing stuff when Superman goes up into the mountain because he realizes everybody hates him. I'm actually putting multiple things together, so what I'm saying clearly doesn't work.
Just bring your revised script next week.
I'm just vomiting ideas at this point. What more can I do? Because then you have Superman.
I kind of like it though.
Who isn't saving a cat out? You would need Superman saving people is the thing too.
Yeah.
Instead of putting cats out of a tree, maybe he puts a cat in the tree. He is pushing boats into the water and all this stuff. And people are like, why is Superman being a jerk to us all of a sudden? And Lex would be like, see, he's a jerk.
I just feel like
he's power hungry.
I think part of the issue with that is it becomes too easy to disprove. Because all Superman has to do is show up. And then everybody's like, wait, what's going on?
Well, at that point, I would have Bizarro's going crazy and Superman does show up and he has to beat him up.
But then I think I don't want to poke holes in your idea.
No, I'm fine with it.
I just think
I'm spitballing.
I think that further compounds the problem of Superman not caring. Because the minute he hears somebody's an imposter, you have to think Superman's going to go there. So Bizarro can only be Bizarro for 5-10 minutes at most. Because Superman can get there that quick. But if Superman doesn't show up, then the complaint becomes, well, why didn't Superman go and prove that it was actually him? And then you have that problem.
Yeah.
And so, I love the idea of Bizarro, but I think Bizarro presents more problems from a story standpoint for the Superman character that we already don't like with making him better.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I think you have to try to do that by... If you eliminate Doomsday, your goal has to be to make Superman a better character, which I think if you combine...
Which should have been done anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
If you eliminate Doomsday and you do the hopeful Superman, I think you have a good movie here.
I think
an objectively
it also
good movie.
if you would take a Bizarro angle, it would have to be a completely different movie.
Yes, there would not be a Batman.
I like what you pitched, Tyler. I think you have the kind of the hopeful Superman throughout, constantly coming up against things that are pushing back against him. Whether that's the systems of government, whether that's Batman.
That's your pitch.
I know.
Okay.
Well, you just said. That's my pitch. But then you cut out the death of Superman and Doomsday. You still have the fight. The fight can even end the exact same way. I don't care. But instead of them fighting Doomsday, it's Luthor communicating with Steppenwolf that we have a way to kill the Krypton. We have a way to kill Kal-El with kryptonite. We have an extra, and so he still goes to jail, and then they don't kill him until middle of Justice League.
The 4-hour version?
Justice League Part 1.
Okay.
The 2-hour version.
If it would have continued.
Yeah. And so there's less of a going forward. There's less of a hopelessness from Batman's side. Like Batman and Justice League is just I done him wrong, and instead it's hey, we're getting the team together now because we know something's coming because of Luthor, and
who's FaceTiming an alien.
Sure enough, here comes Steppenwolf with a Krypton blade on the end of his axe, and in their first fight, he takes out Superman. Everyone scatters. Crap, how do we come back against this? I don't know. That'd be... Because I think you're right. It all goes into the next movie. Mm-hmm. And so you do have to really... You can't just say, this is how I would fix this one movie. This is how I would also set up the next movie.
Yeah, and that's the problem with trying to fix this one.
Yeah.
So my way to fix this...
It has second book syndrome.
Yeah.
My way to fix this is to not do this movie at all. Just do, with Batman, just do World's Finest. Batman isn't a cold-blooded killer. Superman is hopeful. Batman can still be super dark. He can punch somebody in the throat and they might not wake up.
He can always take it too far.
Yeah. but I would have them kind of at odds with battling ideologies of how you do things. Maybe they argue for a bit, but ultimately, they're like, you know what? We're trying to stop the bad guys.
Yeah.
Maybe we should team up.
Nobody wants to do a bad job.
And then third act, smoke and fire, bring it on. That would happen. I'm okay with it. Some bad guy. Parasite, I don't know.
Metamorpho.
Sure. Wonder Woman? No. I'm gonna kill you all! Yeah, I would have just done a World's Finest movie. No fight.
Yep. That's
fair. I know Snyder really wanted to do Dark Knight Rises, Returns.
Oh yeah, I said Rises earlier, didn't I? Dang it.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
What was your guys' favorite scene or moment from this one?
The Metropolis scene in the beginning is my favorite.
It's between that and the warehouse scene.
Yeah, the warehouse scene is so good.
I think the warehouse is by far my favorite action scene. It's just so kinetic and
it also so well.
Yeah. Also
well edited.
While it makes no sense while we're watching it, and it's probably never gonna have its full payoff, the nightmare scene absolutely rocked me.
It slaps. We were talking about that. Yeah. Were we doing that in the group chat?
I think so.
Oh, man.
Honestly, I would take it out of the movie. I would flash through him waking up out of the movie, clip it, post it on YouTube as a fan film. To be like, hey, check this out. Here's a fan film of Bruce Wayne having a nightmare about Darkseid showing up.
Well, we now know that was Justice League 2.
Yeah.
That's what that was. That was what it was supposed to be.
Man.
And honestly, that tease being in the middle of the movie it knocked so many people off their seat going, what the freaking crap is going on? People were so confused by the story because there's so many just strange plot lines happening, and you're 2 hours into the movie
and it's compounded.
They haven't fought yet.
It's compounded by Barry showing up too.
Yeah.
Because Barry showing up at the end of the dream when he's awake at that point. Like, that's really happening. And you're like, what?
Yeah. I would have...
What?
If I was WB, I'd been like, we probably should take this out of the movie because it's really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really
cool. It's really cool. It's really cool.
It's one of those cuts that it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's deep, one of those. I love it.
Also...
But general audience, they have no idea what's going on. Very confused.
Yeah, I don't think my mom knew what was going on.
You could definitely...
Also, Ben
give it a
Affleck's...
second post-credit scene. Marvel does it all the time.
Yeah.
And make that like a 5 years later scene, and it's Batman walking out, and he gets to the top and sees the Omega symbol, and then it cuts. That's it.
Oof.
Done. And you're like,
what?
Everybody be like,
what?
Oh my gosh, something crazy's gonna happen.
And then all the fanboys would be like, oh no, they're doing this. Like, how exciting would that have been?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Also, Ben Affleck's Nightmare costume is really good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With the Joker card taped to the gun, the trench coat. I love it.
Trench coat, man, is
it
so
looks so
good.
awesome.
I prefer it even
good.
with the bandana up
over his mouth.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah,
so epic.
I agree.
One last scene that I will throw out just as a honorable mention that I really love is when Clark and Luthor have their chat on the top of the tower.
Oh yeah.
When it goes from like I'm flying above you, like I've won the day, and it's just the motion of him coming down, and he slowly over the course of that scene loses his posture, and it becomes he's on his knees, and Luthor's throwing Polaroids of Martha at him, and the power dynamic shift in that is so good. That one it gets me good.
Dang, we didn't even talk about it.
The Save Martha moment?
Martha.
I feel like we have to.
Martha,
Very
love it or hate it?
Hate it.
Tyler. Indifferent.
I don't like it.
I like it. I'm here for it.
The problem is I know exactly what he was going for, and I get it, but I still don't like it.
I like the moment. I don't think either actor is particularly selling it in that scene.
Well, Superman's half dead in that scene. That's another thing. How can he not carry the spear out of the water, but he can fly like 500 yards with it? Sure.
The plot demands it, Tyler. Got plot armor till he doesn't.
Superman doesn't wear armor.
No, he doesn't.
He got stabbed. He definitely doesn't wear armor.
Maybe that needs to change. Get that old Krypton armor back out.
I think Lex should have worn it.
There's who you punch at the end.
Dope. All right.
He uses a mech suit in the comics, man.
Do we want to chat
looking.
about some of the other films real quick? Suicide Squad? Yay or nay?
Thank you for casting Margot Robbie. That's all
Yep.
I want to say. That she's freaking good. And
Will
without
Smith-
that casting, I wouldn't have this movie. This is
Yep.
my second favorite DCEU movie.
Birds of Prey is fantastic.
I love this movie.
Yeah,
and I
it's
know
great.
it gets a lot of hate because they change stuff.
I don't care.
And it just
so good.
It's the same with like BvS and stuff. If you change stuff but you make it compelling, you make it good, it's character driven, it's executed well, it can work.
Mm-hmm.
Cassandra Cain is nothing like she is in the
Yeah.
comics. I could care less, man. That movie
Still
was
works.
good.
Yeah. I agree. I love that movie.
So,
What else is up here?
at least
Shazam. Great movie as well.
I really Wonder Woman and On, excluding Justice League.
They've all been really good.
I've really enjoyed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really enjoy Aquaman. It's a fun blockbuster story, and it's got great action and amazing CG in it.
And an amazing score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shazam is hilarious. Zachary Levi is great.
Shazam is like I think Shazam was such a breath of fresh air for like, this is what I wanted more of for Superman.
Shazam is the heart of these movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I would say. Like, that movie has the most heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thematically resonates
Mhm.
so much.
What we got? Is there another one?
Justice League's laying down up there.
Justice League is a Frankenstein film. We kind of talk about it. It's not good, and I'll admit that. But
I enjoyed it still.
those last 20 minutes where Superman is happy-ish, happier, I like that. And I honestly,
His suit's more blue, too.
I can enjoy.
Slightly. I wonder how much saturation this one's gonna have.
I can
a lot.
enjoy
It's gonna be
Justice
black.
League.
Oh, that's right. It's not even blue.
You what?
I
Sorry.
can enjoy Justice League. That being said, gosh, there's some bad. Oh man,
Mhm.
it's got a lot of stinky parts.
I may dislike Justice League more than Suicide Squad.
No way,
Maybe.
not me.
Maybe. They're right there.
And
for
here's the-
as much as there's talk about how much Suicide Squad got redone, which obviously it did, it's still not the Frankenstein that this is.
Mm-mm.
And there's not the tone clash that Justice League has. Justice League has just such a tonal clash between what
Two directors wanted.
Snyder had envisioned and Wheaton came in and reshot.
Yeah,
And it just doesn't work for me on almost any level. There are probably 3 to 5 moments in that film that I like.
the thing for me with Justice League is it's 2 hours. It's short, and it has more action in it than Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad is we're walking down a street for an hour and a half.
I think the characters in Suicide Squad
Gosh
have
dang
better.
it. I was trying to get it out the entire time.
I'm sorry. They have better interactions.
The chemistry's better for the
yeah,
cast.
yeah.
The cast is just better.
Yep.
All the way.
Sorry, Tyler.
No, it's okay. I knew you were going to steal it, and I was trying to get it out. I think that's what makes Suicide Squad a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's just that the cast is good.
I haven't watched either one in 5 years.
I've watched
So-
Suicide Squad more recently than I've watched Justice League.
I haven't watched either one since I
So-
think 2016 or whenever Justice League
Here
came
you
out.
go. Get
2017.
this. When we saw Justice League opening night, two time.
You
We
did.
watched 4 hours of Justice League on opening night in the theater.
Yeah, we did.
I
And you almost fell asleep in that.
definitely fell asleep. I definitely fell asleep the second time. But I totally just forgot what I was going to say.
Or I was excited for what you're gonna say. You have 5 seconds to remember. Can you do it?
Oh, that's really
I
depressing.
don't know, something about characters and interactions and
Oh,
how.
no. I don't think I've watched it since then. Other than when we did our commentary.
We haven't done a commentary.
We watched it together then. The three of us did.
Did we?
I
so.
remember watching it.
I don't think
I
I've watched
remember-
it since that.
I think I watched it like when it just came out on Blu-ray.
Maybe.
I watched it when it first came out back on Blu-ray.
Well, you bought it in 4K. Oof.
I'm gonna have to buy it again in 4K.
I will buy this
Oof.
one in 4K.
It's fine.
I just wanted to say Zack Snyder's on it.
And
You might say it like 5 times.
I did recently watch it again, just like a few weeks ago.
I haven't. I might watch it after watching the Snyder Cut just to see.
Here, I'll watch. I know you guys don't want to watch Suicide Squad again. I'll watch Suicide Squad and Justice League this week.
I'll watch
Suicide Squad again.
I didn't have time to watch it prior.
I just didn't feel like it was as
necessary.
when we're talking about
What about when
the new
Will
Justice
Smith shows
League.
up?
This
What is
these
this,
are the
some
two
kinda
that lead into
Suicide
that.
Squad?
All right.
Well,
Should we make one bold prediction for Zack Snyder's Justice
Yeah, let's
League
do it.
before? One bold prediction, boys.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. You guys go.
you got something? I feel like you got something on your mind. So
I think there's a
you lead.
I think the 7th member of the Justice League in this movie will be Deathstroke.
Oh, okay.
That's my bold prediction.
I could be down. With that. And
The enemy
and
of my enemy is my friend.
exactly. Exactly.
And Snyder likes to do weird stuff like that.
Man. I think other than is Podcat unhappy?
Probably.
Luke can't get my door open.
You're all the way down there.
One of my 2021 predictions was that Justice League would have a post-credit scene that would set up a Superman 3.
Superman 3?
Superman sequel.
Okay.
Standalone movie. With Henry
You're
Cavill.
getting way ahead of yourself.
Well, yeah, I guess. I always think of BvS as Superman 2. Well, I know it's not. As we just discussed, it's not. It's a Batman movie, at best.
Potential's there, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe...
Oh, I thought of mine. It's pretty bold.
Go for it.
So, I think there's a reason why Patty Jenkins hasn't put a present-day Wonder Woman out there. I think Wonder Woman's going to die. There we go. There's mine.
Ooh. That is a big
And
one.
considering that the Whedon version, the theatrical version, is going to be canon, technically she'll still be alive. But Snyder was going to kill her. Because she's never been shown in any of the Nightmare stuff.
Out the door. That's true. She's not in any of the Nightmare stuff.
She's dead. She's gone.
I've never thought about that. That's interesting. She's the queen of them scared.
Are we adding these to our yearly predictions? If we get
No.
Oh.
No, I'm not.
You're
I'm not.
confident.
Hey, I mean, if
Intentionally
you do
giving
your
extra
same
points.
prediction, I mean, technically, I guess yours okay.
Man, okay. So you had a death.
Somebody's got
I definitely think someone's dying. Snyder can't go a whole movie without killing people.
I was going to say Aquaman, but his movie takes place
Yes,
after Justice League.
yes, Lepke, Deathstroke with the Halo symbol. He's a Justice Leaguer for this movie, and then it will set up a divide between him and Ben Affleck's Batman, thus leading to the spin-off movie that never happened.
Superman or Batman v Deathstroke, Red versus Blue.
Dawn of Assassins. Because Batman's an assassin now.
I was going from
I don't
Halo
know.
thing.
Love it.
I don't have any good predictions. I think it's gonna be fine. And
I think I'm gonna enjoy it, man.
I'll
I just wanna see the
I'll enjoy it
characters.
a lot more than this one, the current one.
Yeah.
I think there will be a lot of parts that I enjoy, and there will be a lot of parts that I'm just like...
I think there will be some Snyder-isms
Like,
where
that's-
you kind of
that's
just
how-
roll your eyes.
Yeah.
That's how Man of Steel is for right now, and that's how BvS is for right now, so...
Yeah.
It just won't take as long for me for it to hit this time.
I'll give Brett's bold prediction.
Okay.
You ready? Joker will kind of tease Batman about killing Robin.
Okay.
And
Dude, just do that. Joker's Jason Todd.
Oh boy,
that's been a theory out there, man.
Oh my gosh!
If you're not gonna claim it, I call it as a second prediction.
No, I mean
he won't say the society line either.
Oh yeah, he's gonna turn around and be like, "I'm Jason Todd."
I think
the society thing was a trailer. You think
thing.
Just I don't think it's in the movie.
I think
thing was in the movie.
I think that Joker in the nightmare scene is Batman and him are of the rapport of we have to survive. They're like
working together
more or less. Like this is what it's come to, and they spout wisdom upon each other or something. I don't know.
Gosh, I just know Snyder cannot help himself but make Joker tease him about Robin. Also, have you guys seen the picture of Leauge's Joker with all like the Gotham City PD badges on?
Yep.
From all the people apparently he's killed. That's kind of cool.
I think he looks
he looks
really good.
He fits the nightmare.
He looks way better than the
Jesus Joker.
Well, I'm not a fan of that.
Oh boy, yeah, I
thought that was the one where he looks like the nun from The Conjuring to me. I think looks really bad. The police vest, I think, looks good.
I think that's cool. I think it's a cool idea.
So from what we've seen in the trailers, which is only one line, and those pictures, I just feel like he looks like less of a insane. I don't like. He's so off the rails in Suicide Squad that like this is almost a more restrained Joker. And I love, obviously we all love Heath Ledger's Joker, who is insane, but he's incredibly smart, and he has his head on straight. And I just don't feel like I ever got that with Leauge's, the vibes I'm getting are more like
that maybe he's a little more there.
And my guess is he's just got a few lines, so he can't be too crazy. But we did have a few little comments in the chat here.
Oh boy.
LZ Raps says that I'm pretty sure in the Warren parking lot after BvS was the first time I heard Luke mention wanting to do a podcast.
Yeah.
That accurate? Probably. Yeah. Man, that movie that was like even more than Man of Steel. That was a movie that got people to talk, and I know that is something Snyder likes is being divisive and making people talk about his work. So.
And then we started it up in 2017 with Wonder Woman. Good times.
What a time.
And then we said, Brett,
join us in the sun.
One of us.
Game Lore Master also over in the chat talks about a little bit, mentions some annoyances in BvS.
I just read that. That's pretty funny.
Martha. And then, like, why'd you say that name? And then, like, from across, like, outside the building, in comes Lois Lane. It's his mother's name. Like, does she have...
Oh, my gosh. I forgot to talk about something.
Supersonic hearing or something?
She does. She's a superhero.
So, there's the part with Lois. She's been useless the entire movie. And then she's like... All of a sudden, she's like, oh, they might need the spear because... How does she know they're fighting a monster that's made out of Zod? She's like, I should probably go back to the spear. And she's running back for it in her heels, and she just, like, biffs it in the water. It is the corniest thing. And I laugh so hard at it every time, because I forget it happens. I forgot it happened just now. I forgot to talk about it. But she just biffs it and face plants in the water, and it just catches me such off guard. It's so funny. And, like, I don't know if it was on purpose... If it was an accident,
You okay?
You okay, Amy?
Yeah.
Gosh, it was so funny.
He also mentions in the desert scene, if it adds anything at all, it's just to make the point that Lex has kind of this master plan, which at the time we don't really know, but it's revealed slowly. He also says, "Rip Jimmy." How you guys feel about Jimmy being a undercover CIA agent who just gets?
That ain't Jimmy.
I don't
And
care.
if it is, yeah, who cares?
It was. I don't know. I remember.
So, fun fact: Darkseid's first appearance was in a comic, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen.
Oh.
Also, fun fact.
Wild.
AC.
DC.
No.
The
The prison number for Lex Luthor at the end is his first appearance in Action Comics.
Oh yeah.
AC 2340.
All of these
Was Action Comics
movies
23,
do a
1940.
really good job of incorporating little Easter eggs here and there, things like that. So, yeah, I couldn't really care less about Jimmy Olsen and who he is, but I did feel like it was.
Jimmy Olsen's character, what it is, does not fit in what Snyder wants.
Snyder's explanation for why he did what he did was what disappointed me, which was, I don't know, I really wanted to give him something to do, and I thought it would be controversial just to kill him off. That's not a reason to put a
famous character in a movie.
A fairly famous character. I mean, he's not, he's not D-level DC. He's well known.
He had a comic run.
Yeah.
So
which introduced one of the biggest bads in the DC universe.